Good evening, fight fans. You are listening to a Religion Broadcasting alternative commentary for Jamel Herring versus Shakur Stevenson. I'm never getting over that.
Man, that's a handful right there.
For the WBO Junior Lightweight Championship, presented to you from Top Rank Boxing on ESPN and ESPN Plus. And I am not alone. I am joined by a newcomer to the Religion Broadcasting family. Ladies and gentlemen, from the stage and and the Great White North, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Lasby is with us. How you doing, Dan?
Not bad at all. Let's keep that white part out of the north if we can help it for as long as possible.
The people ask me all the time, they're like, "You going to move back to New York?" And I'm like, "No, not while there's snow, and not unless we get more global warming."
Exactly. And then when it turns into a jungle, you're back in.
That's right. So, Dan, you were referred to me from Chris Bailey. We always say his name 3 times. That's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, does he appear in the mirror and threaten to kill you when you do that?
No, he appears in the mirror and he talks pro wrestling.
Yeah, that feels right.
And comic books. He's like, listen, don't retire legacy characters, and then he runs away with his hands in the air. We're here to talk boxing, and he referred you to me because he was like, hey, man, I know a guy that's really into boxing that might want to call some of these with you. So, Dan, before we get into Jamel Herring versus Shakur Stevenson, tell us a little bit about your boxing history, how long you've been a fan for, who some of your favorite fighters are.
Yeah, so I'm kind of fresh back into boxing. I was really big into boxing when I was younger. You know, Donnie Lalonde's from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I was from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Chris Jericho's from Winnipeg, Manitoba. So we like people with curly hair who have sort of gone bald and do really well until they meet, Sugar Ray Leonard in the 9th round. So I was big for a long time. I liked Mike Tyson when I was younger. I really kind of followed that full arc, and then adulting caught up with me. I got a wife, I got some kids, I got a daytime job that didn't want me to stay up all night. So now, I'm just sort of kind of getting back into it. And the Roy Jones Jr. fight, Mike Tyson really brought me back. And then, Mike Tyson looked great. And I was like, hey, this is kind of a wicked thing to do with your buddies if you can convince them to also leave their wives late at night and watch boxing.
Yeah, between this and MMA, it's funny. I said to my wife, I was like, I'm really into watching boxing and MMA again, but we can't have fight nights anymore because I don't want people in my house till 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. And you always got that one friend who throws the remote a little too close to the TV when their guy doesn't win.
Well, the other thing is everyone's passed out, like Jonestown the morning after.
Fair enough.
Everyone's asleep. It's nap time. All right. So before we get into Jamel versus Shakur here, what other fights have you seen this year besides Tyson and Roy Jones?
I watched that whole card. I've been kind of in type tonight. I went back and watched, in anticipation for that, I watched some highlights for the two of these guys as they were back and forth. And, I can't see where I put my notes just a moment, but we were talking about Canelo a little bit earlier, and I was blown away by his record. I had to go back and see how a guy with 51 wins manages to dance around and not come out looking like he's been through the washing machine on bust for a couple of rounds. So yeah, I'm freshly back into it now. So now I gotta figure out, other than Tyson Fury with his dad bod and his complete lack of hair at this point as the Gypsy King. And I assume he's gonna get a hat at some point.
Have you had a chance to watch Fury Wilder 3?
I watched the highlights from it. I wasn't tight on it when that was happening, but just crazy on how he just doesn't have that standardized style where you're expecting like the head movements they're going to give away, or that right shoulder to come over a little bit before he catches you with the hook. There's just not there, I don't think.
He also takes a great bump. I'm not implying anything when I say that, when I use my wrestling parlance, but every time Tyson Fury gets knocked down by Deontay Wilder, you think, well, he's done. And then he shakes it off and he gets up again and he pounds the crap out of Wilder. But you always think there's those times where Tyson Fury gets knocked down and you think, well, he'll never get back up again. And then he does. And you're like, my God, what is this man made of?
Yeah, I assume rich middle-aged women get Botox and Tyson Fury just injects himself with concrete.
Fair point. All right, so let's talk about Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring. And I'll tell you, I've been following Shakur since he fought Joet Gonzalez couple years ago. We actually covered that fight here on the WTRM network. That's up in the archives right now. That was myself and Robert Winfrey. That's where the he a bitch line came from, which always cracked me up. Shakur Stevenson, great record. He's up from featherweight, and he really, one of the great allies that he has, one of his great assets is his speed. He's able to fight defensively. He's got great hand speed. He gets combinations in and he moves around and he's very hard to hit. How do you see this fight going between Herring and Stevenson?
I mean, he's definitely, no doubt, he's got that skill. He got that silver medal at the Olympics just coming off the summer. He's got that natural ability, and you can tell that he trains hard. I mean, listen, I got a soft spot for the old guy in the match. As the guy who's creeping into the middler ages, I got a real soft spot for Herring. I think if Stevenson gets to fight his match, if he gets to stay on the outside, if he gets to move around a lot, it's going to be a hard night for Herring. I mean, I'd like to see him humbled a little bit, but at the same time, he's got a lot of natural skill, and to your point, he's hard to hit. He's never in the same spot twice. It doesn't seem like.
He is 16-0 going into this. He was 13-0 when he beat Gonzalez for the vacant WBO featherweight title. He defended it against Felix Carabello. He had a 6-round KO. He had 2 unanimous decisions, both of which were rather nondescript. In fact, not a lot of fans came out of the last fight he had when he won the interim junior lightweight title. So going into this one, he really needs to impress here, and that's what we're going to be looking for from him if he does win. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you saw the odds on this. I'm not a gambler myself, but I had a buddy of mine hit me to the odds on Shakur Stevenson, and he is the heavy favorite here.
Yeah, 6-1 against Herring.
Yeah, it was like for $100 bet, you make $10. I'm like, who bets on him then? Why would you do that? So that being said, what does Jamel Herring, who's coming into this fight at 23-2, he only has 2 losses, one to Shavakov and another to Ladarius Miller. He is undefeated since winning the WBO super featherweight title. What does he have to do to nullify Stevenson and pull up the upset victory here?
You know, like he just seems like he's such a nice guy, right? Like he seems like that guy that you're super good taking home to your mom. So I think you got to get to the ring, you got to leave that at the corner, and you got to pull out that Marine grit. You got to take that 2 tours in Iraq and be like, hey, well, you were at home polishing those dimples. I was out doing, the hard and heavy in the middle of the desert. So he got 3 defenses already. I think that if he can pull off this 4th defense, especially as somebody is young and is fast, like there's an 11-year difference, am I right? I think he's 35 and Stevenson's 24.
He is in fact 35, and yes, Shakur is 24.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the answer to his game is that he's got to stay close. He gotta work that grit and that experience, and he got to try to slow down Stevenson as much as possible.
I'll tell you, I saw the fight Jamel Herring versus Carl Frampton. Carl Frampton got brutalized. If you have an opportunity to check that out, it's poor Carl.
I watched that this morning, and like Frampton, who's a guy who, great name in boxing, definitely going to be a future Hall of Famer. But I think that was Herring's business card for this fight. That was his like, hey, I know I got some doubters. I know I got guys who think that I don't always go as hard as I can. He crushed that fight. That was
he really did
an execution.
He beat Carl Frampton like Carl Frampton owed him money.
Yeah,
it was, and I'd seen Carl Frampton before COVID. I had seen Carl Frampton in a fight where he looked pretty good, and it looked like he was back. He was on the comeback, and then he walked into a buzzsaw and just got crushed.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I had heard a lot of people talk about how, Herring has his up days and his down days, and it seems like he just kind of fights to where he's to. And then I don't know if you caught any of the smack that Shakur's been talking since this is gone. If you listen to Herring, it sounds like, hey, it's cool. You're my neighbor's little brother, and we were always really civil to each other. You listen to Stevenson, and he's like, no, I saw you on the corner, and I spit at you on the way past.
That's the thing. Like, Shakur Stevenson is one of those guys that sees you know, look at as the fighters take the ring. Now we're almost ready to begin here, so I'll make this really brief. You know, like a Conor McGregor who's never met a camera he didn't mug in front of,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
and he's always doing stuff for the camera, and that is why his fights are on pay-per-view and they do a million buys, and nobody watches MMA, but everybody knows who Conor McGregor is. So he's the same thing with
Yep,
Ronda Rousey, who was also kind of a nutcase on camera.
sure.
Slaughtered women in the ring too. But my point is there are people who know how to get themselves over, whether it's boxing or MMA or whatever. And Shakur Stevenson seems like he's one of those guys where I would not call him a Mensa student by any stretch of the imagination, but I do think he knows when the camera's on him, what keeps you in the people's mind's eye. And so I think some of that stuff is his natural personality. I don't doubt that. But then I also think he turns it up just a bit because he knows that's what the people want.
Oh
And
yeah,
it's like
for
look at
sure.
what we're doing tonight. There are if you on the average weekend there are 3, 4, sometimes 5 fights in a single weekend. And sometimes in order to differentiate yourself and get attention on you, you got to act like kind of a nutcase on camera.
So let me ask you this: Do you think that the criticism that Shakur is a boring fighter, that he's not having matches that are going to be explosive in the way that maybe some other fighters typically can have? Do you think if he doesn't come out and crush Herring in the first three rounds of this, that sticks, that he doesn't get that lift coming out of this match that he maybe feels like he should?
Here's what I'll tell you. I think the boring criticism of Shakur is really unfair. The guy's had 16 fights and half of them are knockouts.
Yeah, hey,
So so let's start with that. You know, it's not like he has all decisions. Second thing, the thing that they'll tell you, especially early on in your career as a boxer, is you got to get the rounds in. As you get popular and as you get better fights, more money fights, you're going to be in the ring longer. You're not going to knock people out in the first 3 rounds. So even if you can, you still need the ring work. You need to know, you need to look at like a Caleb Plant who's going to fight in 2 weeks. He goes the distance almost every single time, and you got to know how to fight that second half of that fight. And I
sure.
think
And
that's what
Shakur's
Shakur
got those
Stevenson
big body shots, that's
right.
experience. He does that early.
I think he's been putting the work in, and I think it's a little too early to say, oh, he's a boring fighter. Let's give him some time. He's barely a baby with 16 fights.
He got them pretty dimples.
He does have them pretty dimples. If he get some social media manager and somebody to really shape up his image a bit, and stop calling people a bitch on Top Rank, in ESPN, he'll be all right. All right, here we go, round one. And they come out jabbing, just kind of testing the waters here, trying to look for distance.
Yeah, it's a little cautious.
Yeah, neither one of them is going to come out like heavy swinging in this first round. This is, I can't imagine this ends anywhere before the sixth.
No,
If it ends at all.
Both of them know that there's that opportunity. They're smart boxers. They know how to kind of look for the holes and come through them. You almost got to think you got the better part of just a test round here out of the gate.
Sure. Yeah, no, I don't think either one of them is going to go, Donkey Kong in there. I think it's going to be. I think the first 3 rounds are going to be, an edge to one or the other, but I don't think it's going to be a heavy favorite one way or the other until we start to get the rounds 5 and 6 and 7.
I do like how it has the look right out of the bat that that's the kid who sassed his dad one too many times, and his dad said, "Okay, you're big enough now. Let's talk this through like men." I almost wish that I almost missed the frills that I saw earlier in the night. There was some pretty pink frills on.
Some nice tassels. I like the stance for both of the guys. Neither one of them is doing anything too crazy in there. Both have some good footwork and some good stances here. Some tight boxing to start us off here. Not the kind of crowd pleasing thing, but this is a boxer's boxing match.
No, for sure. You can see the technical skill between the two of them. They got their footwork is both tight, and they've got that soft defense as they test it out. But you could see that it's there. Nobody's getting a free shot right out of the gate.
Neither one landing a tremendous amount of punches this round. They're throwing. They're definitely throwing, but you just see like Herring just kind of bounced one off of Shakur's glove.
I think it's interesting because it feels like Stevenson's not moving as much as he normally does.
Yep.
They're doing the rounds around, but it's not his usual kind of look for that outside chance. Maybe make that awkward outside movement and get a nice side shot.
So you can tell from Shakur's sudden change in body motion, the way he's positioning himself. He's getting more confident there. He's now nailed Herring a few times. I mean, Herring took him, but Shakur is finding the range now. It took him a minute or so, and it's only the first round. Big left there from Shakur Stevenson.
Especially because Herring does have that little bit of extra reach. He got 2 inches, I think, extra on his reach over top of him. So,
all right, I would have to give that round to Shakur Stevenson, who's a little bit more active. I think he landed more than Herring did. What do you think?
I mean, I think he got some nice shots. I mean, I think Herring got a couple of close pops there as well. I don't think it's a big spread between the two of them, but I think. Yeah. I think everybody came out and did what they wanted to do to be able to say, hey, okay, you gotta give me a little bit of respect. You can't just walk out and start throwing haymakers.
Yeah, I would tell you for Shakur, who may have come in a little tentative, a little pensive to this fight, he's been there for a big time championship, he's stepping up in weight. That was a bit of a confidence booster for him. Mm-hmm. I think Shakur is going to be a little bit more aggressive this round. Again, I like
how he turns on his business face when he comes back out of the corner. He puts that smile away.
Well, he's an adorable lad, and it's like a child mean mugging you. It's like It's so funny.
I think Herring actually looks a little tentative. I think he looks like he needs to calm down a little.
Well, he got popped a few times in that round, and even though to his credit he does have 8 knockouts, Shakur Stevenson not known as a power puncher.
No, and Herring's got 11 knockouts, I think, in his 25, right? 23 and 2, and 11 of them are knockouts.
Stat show in the first round, Stevenson landed 1 more punch than Herring did. Had a bit of a higher percentage than he did. So let's see what he does here in round 2.
Oh, there's that body motion you look at. There's that back and forth kind of king cobra action.
Floyd Mayweather made an entire career out of being very, very, very hard to hit.
For sure.
And I said this during the Joette Gonzalez-Shakur fight, that Shakur is sort of the spiritual successor to Floyd Mayweather in that that's his bread and butter. He is really hard to hit. He just throws a combination of 1-2s in there. I'm not sure how successful it was, but he definitely threw him with some vigor.
I mean, listen, if you can make it into your 40s and 50s as a boxer, retire, and not look like you had your face on the mat half the time, that's a big win.
And then you get big money to play with Logan Paul. Fantastic.
Oh my God.
And you can hear us call the Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fiasco in the archives at WCRMnet.com. You got to work in your shameless plugs,
That's all right.
So Herring is being marched around the ring by Shakur Stevenson.
I think he needs to be more aggressive. He's the champ here. Shakur's a good boxer and he's hard to hit, but I think you gotta try to set the pace. You gotta stay in close. Yeah. You gotta slow him down, and you gotta make him win for those big leanbacks.
I think you gotta show Shakur that you've got some power in you. He's the bigger guy. I think he needs to bully Shakur a little bit more.
Definitely.
Right now, Shakur thinks this is his fight, and he just needs to keep calm, do the work, and he'll win. And he'll win on the scorecards, and that'll be enough. And Jamel Herring can't let him think that, or he's already lost this fight.
I think Shakur's right if that's what he's thinking. Right now, he's moved forward on every step.
Yep.
And Herring's moved back on every step.
But right now, this ring belongs to Shakur Stevenson. He is marching Herring around.
Yeah.
Herring, for his part, he's not just laying in there taking punches. He's on that back foot, but all he's done is back up and back up and back up, but he's still getting tagged every now and then. It's not like he's avoided every single one of Shakur's punches. Big right hand from Shakur Stevenson.
Oh, I think he caught him. I think he caught his eyebrow.
Oh, big left.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Got a cut.
He's starting
to cut. Come on, man. You got to lay that back out. Come on.
He's starting to land with more vigor and more frequency, Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, that confidence is high right now.
And that definitely goes to Shakur Stevenson in round 2. I'm liking the work. I'm liking the work from Stevenson.
I mean, he's a good fighter, and he knows his technical skill. I think if Herring doesn't come out strong on this one, this is a shorter match than I anticipated. I anticipated 6 or 7 rounds and really grind it out, but I got to see Jamel come up with some vigor on this one.
You know, if Jamel doesn't want to get marched around the ring and get himself left open for those power punches that were coming from Shakur, he needs to start clinching. He needs to start tying him up. You know, I say this in a lot of boxing matches. If you're starting to lose, if the guy's starting to score on you, your opponent, get in there and dirty it up, lean on him, make him wear you.
Yep.
Wear out those arms.
If you're gonna take that kind of cross shot because you're giving to him a shot, you got to make him pay for it back. So I don't know, maybe get in close and take one, but really deliver that power back because you know you got that hard left. If you're gonna keep getting tagged, you got to get something back for it. So
okay, so look at the punch stats. 26-6 for Stevenson, 40% landed. I mean, and that was 26 out of 65. Herring barely threw anything in that round,
and those jabs aren't even getting there. Like half those jabs aren't even connecting.
Right. You know, and look, he's a fit fighter. He obviously, you know, he's a superior athlete. Look at that big combination there from Shakur Stevenson. But I mean, you just keep punching air. Eventually, your arms do get tired.
Oh yeah. The exhaustion it's clear even when you saw him come out of the corner. He's got some tears in his eyes. He got shook a little bit on that last one where he maybe took one in the nose and gave him a little bit of mist.
There it is.
But even at this point, tie him up, like do something.
You just saw it there. He clinched him up and he got him right there in the side. That's what Herring needs to do. Because right now, psychologically, Shakur Stevenson has the edge.
And you've given him all the space. You know that's his style. You want to tie him up or get him on the rope somewhere where you're taking away his ability to move around and get out of the way of those big power punches.
And look at that. Oh, Shakur Stevenson just not throwing reckless abandon or anything like that. He is working the combinations, but he has decided Herring has nothing for him.
And Herring feels like he's half given up. It feels like he's still in it because he doesn't want to say that he doesn't, but that was a nice one, though. Nice come around.
Yeah, those were good big punches from Shakur Stevenson, just kind of tagging Herring at will. And you know, for Herring's part, he's taking them, but you don't want to be eating punches in a 12-round fight.
No chance. It looks almost like Herring could come through that block if he really wanted to. That's it, man. Come in close. Keep him tight. Make him work for it.
Now,
give him a couple for it.
That's smart of Shakur because again, he doesn't want to allow Herring to start getting the edge back, and so he tied him up that time.
Smart. Another shot right to the face. I'm surprised that Herring's going high on every single shot.
Good, nice jab there from Shakur.
Again, like Shakur has the shorter reach, but it's like he's tagging on every jab and every cross. And
does it seem like Herring is flat to you? Like
it does seem flat.
Seems to have fallen off.
I mean, at 35 years old, you don't want to say that he's wearing his age, but this is not the same fighter that you saw 6 months ago.
No,
this is not the Frampton in April fighter
who came out
with authority.
The other thing I'm noticing from Shakur is he's really targeting that eye. That eye still looks like it's starting to blow up there.
It is. Definitely.
He is laid in that left eye. Look at the damage in the corner of the eye. It's getting really bulbous for Herring. Yeah, his cutmen are going to have to work on that because I tell you, he keeps hitting that eye. He's eventually.
It's going to wear you down.
Knock that thing wide open.
Even cut you get to cut that early in the match. Like your exhaustion level is going to start to climb dramatically.
Yeah, exactly. So, what do you think Herring's corner is telling him right now?
I think they're telling him to stay calm, but like get aggressive. I think they're going to say, "Hey, you came out, you had a couple of those big shots, but then you fell back on it. You gotta stay in tight. You gotta stay in tight. You gotta get some body shots. You gotta make pay for some of those open up shots. You gotta make him pay for the blows that Shakur is getting through. You can't let Shakur just hit and move and hit and move. You gotta stay close.
All right, here we go. Round 4. All Shakur Stevenson all day long so far.
Yeah, listen, Shakur looks fresh. He looks like he just started the match.
We had a 59-21 landed between the two gentlemen, with Shakur obviously in the lead there. 173.
Oh, come on.
Shakur's baiting him now. Look at him work the back.
He's waiting for him to open up. He's looking for a big shot.
Mm-hmm.
And see, Herring had him in the corner, and he needed to keep him in the corner. He didn't come in tight, and he didn't try to tie him up. And that let Shakur get out and dance back around.
Yeah, Herring's got to cut that ring off. Because right now, he's not so much marching Shakur around as Shakur sort of dancing around him, making him chase him.
Well, he's pulling him back into the open. Every time that he gets into a tight spot, he knows that Herring is going to give him space, and he moves back out where he's got moved to dance. Like Herring's feet look like they're moving just for the sake of moving.
For those of you watching on the live stream, first of all, thank you very much. You're able to comment and you have some insight you want to share with us, go ahead and we'll put it up on screen, and then we will commiserate back with you. Back to the fight. See, I like that work from Herring.
Oh, come on.
Herring tied him up. I love the dirty boxing, especially when the guy is getting beat, toe to toe. You just gotta get in the phone booth and rough him up a bit.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree. I think right now Herring's got to stay close. He's got to get some tie-ups. He needs to give him a couple of shots, see if he can come in on the inside up close. He's still stretching a lot, and I think he needs to reduce that stretch because, to your point, Shakur looks just sound in his ability to pick his shots right now.
Shakur showing why he was the favorite in this fight, which I was really surprised by. When I found out that he's a heavy favorite, I was like, I can't believe the champion's not getting more favored, but he's showing why now.
That was the first little piece where it looked like Herring had a spark that he had some confidence, and as soon as he did, he backed up, and Shakur danced right out of it.
Some good body movement there for Herring. He's still staying pretty spry. That's the problem. Like in the top half, he's doing a lot of shoulder rolling. He's doing some feinting. He's trying to bait Shakur, getting his head a little bit. He's just so flat-footed.
I think he might even be bleeding from his nose a little bit. I think he took a couple of those jabs right.
He's getting beat up.
Yeah, I concur. And again, to what you had called it earlier, he's on that back foot. He's on that back foot on every sequence. And if you're going to be on that back foot, it should be because you're winding up for that big power shot.
You see Shakur Stevenson at the end of that round, he just kind of shook his head. He's like, this guy's got nothing for me. And that is, if you're Jamel Herring, you don't want your opponent thinking you got nothing for him. It's not a great way to go through this fight.
No, because then I don't know. Do you think Shakur runs in another couple of rounds just to kind of run him out, or do you think he tries to come out and put this away?
I think he's going to get to the back half of this. I think we're going to get into round 6 or 7, and then he's going to turn up the gas. If Herring doesn't have anything for him and the fight goes the way it's been, I think you're going to see a level change from Shakur Stevenson round 6, 7, and maybe end this round 8.
Because if I'm Herring, I almost feel disrespected. If I feel like it's that lopsided, I almost feel disrespected that he doesn't come at me hard. That he takes me to 6 or 7. I don't know. Just me personally, I would feel like that's you're giving me a little bit of pity. Yeah, I'm the champ, but you just let me hang around when you really didn't need to.
I'm wondering if Herring's thinking like, I got to try to end this fight, and we're going to maybe have him pick up. Maybe take some chances and pick up the volume here, because that's the other problem, as we've seen, is Herring's volume compared to Stevenson is really out of scale.
Yeah, for sure. So you're thinking that the only way Stevenson doesn't have a great round this round is if Herring just throws bombs.
Yeah. And he's trying. He's looking for angles. He came around the side there, Herring did.
And he doesn't look tired. He does look like he's still moving good, but he also looks like he's taking a lot of big pops.
I like that from Stevenson. Steven wouldn't let him get away with anything there, and he's got him against the ropes now. And he's roughing him up. He's going after that eye.
He's going after the eye. He's cutting off the angles the same way that he should be cut off. And he's a smart boxer.
Yeah, no, Stevenson sees blood in the water, but he's not going Donkey Kong. He's staying composed, and that's important. Because especially as he gets harder and harder fights, and his career goes on, it's not always going to be this easy in big-time fights for him. And he knows that. And I think that shows a maturity for such a young fella that he sees Herring starting to erode away, and he's taking his shots, but he's not losing his composure and just going, hitting like an idiot there.
And Herring really only getting some glancing blows as he comes through. That wasn't bad. That wasn't bad.
I like the combinations from Stevenson. He's not just throwing one punch at a time or even two punches. He's throwing some good combinations, and he's following up. There's a flurry, and then he backs off, changes angles, another flurry again.
Which is smart. It is smart for a guy who can move as fast and get out of the way as fast as Stevenson can. You got to try to catch him blind. You got to try to think, he watched the 1-2, and you hope to catch him on the 3.
So Herring, if you notice, is starting to change up his strategy a little bit. He just went after Stevenson's body, and I've noticed that when he is throwing, he's trying to go to the body more, which I think is smart.
That's what I'm talking about. You got to tie him up. You got to get those body shots to slow him down. You got to make your own opportunities at this point. At this point, Stevenson has controlled the match. The way that you're coming back out of it is you change the pace. You got to dictate what you want to happen, and that's not a dance around match at this point. To your call, I think. It's a put it away. It's get some body shots, maybe get an opening, get him to drop those gloves a little bit and try to give him a big pop.
On the off chance Herring gets a body shot knockout, that looks great for him. What a come from behind victory that would be.
Agreed.
All right, Herring showing some confidence there as the round ended.
That was his best round so far as to be able to stabilize and set the pace for himself.
Agreed. So this round coming up, I would like to see. I feel like Stevenson may have taken a round or two off. I think he knows the later rounds favor him, conditioning-wise, age-wise, all of that. And so he was like, okay, this guy doesn't have the power for me. I'm going to take this into deeper waters and see if that provides me some more opportunities, which I think is smart. So I look for Stevenson to start to turn the volume back up again in this round.
Yeah, I think he needs to not take this round off. I think he needs to not give Jamal the chance to set the pace further and risk getting into those later rounds where he does have to do something bigger.
Mm-hmm. Herring, for his part, has to also, and we've said this before, as we go into round 6 here, he really needs to be in Shakur's face. Like at this point,
he got to stay close.
He needs to not give Shakur any space at all.
I think his big option at this point is he wants to go 9 or 10 and drag it out and make it more of a brawl and a grinder than it is a boxing match. He's taking big shots. He got that swelling over the eyes. He's taken some pretty solid ones.
Well, there's the off chance that making a grind of it and making Shakur wear him into the later rounds actually starts to break Shakur mentally.
Agreed.
Because we really haven't seen Shakur. Like, when Shakur goes to a decision, they're not hard decisions. He just didn't knock the guy out. Like, right. Herring might be trying to test him mentally to see if he can last 12 rounds of a guy just being in his face and not letting him get away with the easy stuff.
And with a 50% knockout rate, it would be a different match. Like, yeah, he's won some of those big decisions, but he's got 50% of them being knockouts. A guy hanging around starts to get in your head.
I think I was reading off the Wikipedia page and I read the wrong belt. It's not the super featherweight title. It says right on screen that it's the
junior
lightweight title.
Super featherweight and junior lightweight are the same, I think. That's that crossover page where they're like, it depends on which which association you're in, what they call it.
I'm going to go with what the broadcast is calling it. Whoever wrote the Wikipedia page, they can do whatever. All right. So back to the fight.
I mean, again, like, Shakur's a good dancer, but Herring's staying a little bit closer.
Look at that. Look, Herring is throwing that straight left.
Yep.
And he's backing Shakur up, and he's like, "Come on, man, I'm in this."
First time Shakur hasn't danced out of that corner where he didn't get that chance to get up. First time Herring actually had him in a position where he could come in where he wanted him to be.
Nice hook there from Shakur.
God, though.
So now he's falling off the combinations. He's throwing one shots, and you're not going to get him with one. You're not.
No, I think he can see that coming way too far away.
Right. And he just doesn't have the power. I mean, he's no pillow fist, but yeah, he's not a one punch knockout guy either.
He's definitely not. But I mean, setting the pace a little bit. You can see Stevenson's not dancing him around or dragging him around the way that he did before.
Does Shakur think he can knock him out with one punch? Because the key to success for Shakur at this point would be to lay in a series of combinations. He's going to have to lay in 3 and 4 at a time in order if he's trying to end this thing.
Shakur did not look as happy coming out of that round. He looked a little bit angrier.
No, because he seems to think that he can knock him out with one punch, and it's like, that's not this fight for you, pal.
No,
not today.
Herring's not that guy. Herring's not that guy that a guy Shakur's size who's just come up a weight class is going to walk in, stone cold clock him, and walk away from it.
No. But I don't, I was talking about emotional maturity, and he's starting to fall back on some bad habits, I think, because I think he's been able to get away with it in the past where it hasn't taken much to knock some of these guys out. And it's like, no. You were doing great work in the beginning. Don't get lazy now.
Yep. That 5 pounds is a big weight difference as far as what you're throwing around. And I think, do I think that Shakur still really kind of owned that round from a points perspective? I do, but a lot tighter, a lot more Herring's wheelhouse for coming in close and controlling the pace. So we'll see if Stevenson starts to move again. Like he's planted there right now, and that worries me a little bit from where he thinks he is in this match.
Here we go, round 7. Still huge percentage landed for Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring.
He's a 250 plus punch rate most of the time. Is that right? He throws a lot of punches.
Yes. That's been one of the keys to his success is that he's a high volume puncher. And, and some of these guys, especially the ones that he's finished, just crumble under the pressure.
Yeah. But again, see, he's letting Herring in. Herring gets in close. He ties him up. That's it. Now Jamal got to bring those body shots back. Stevenson's looking a little bit frustrated. Still better punches. Still definitely looks fresher in the match. Hasn't taken the same kind of shots, but
yeah, but I'm not loving Shakur Stevenson's body language. You mentioned like he's looking a little tentative. He doesn't quite have the confidence in the face that he had before in the earlier rounds.
There's frustration there that wasn't there 2 rounds ago.
Jamel Herring, for his part, he's actually gaining confidence. So Andre's scorecard has every round going to Stevenson. I don't quite disagree with that.
I agree with that. I think Stevenson's won the rounds. I'm surprised at how close the spread is on some of those earlier rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Like round 1 was that test round, but I felt like round 2 and round 3, like Shakur really, really dominated those 2 rounds from a.
Well, I'm sure at some point we'll have a judge that gives all 12 rounds to Canelo. I got my joke in. That's a running gag there.
Well played, you.
Whoever wins, Canelo wins.
We can just ask Yee from the audience and see who he thinks should be winning now that he's got a new name and a new perspective on life.
Okay. Oh, good left there from Shakur Stevenson.
Solid follow-up.
Yep.
Oh, that was nice.
See, I'm liking this. They're kind of brawling it out there in the corner. Now both of them are in each other's faces. We have lost a lot of semblance of that back foot defense. They are just laying it in now.
And do you think that I don't think that favors Stevenson. I think he got to stretch back out.
He's liable to get beat up that way, and if he gets beat up too much, you know, he might pull like, what was it, Victor Ortiz? I don't deserve to get beat up like this. We'll see. We'll see what he's made of.
I mean, if nothing else, it's a good experience for him to be in a match where he doesn't just dominate from start to finish.
Yeah. You got to be tested as a fighter, you know, or you end up in a situation like, unfortunately, like Tyson did with Buster Douglas, where, you know, you think, you know, or Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm, where you think you're invincible. And not to say that Ronda Rousey didn't train for Holly Holm. It's just sometimes you just don't see it coming.
Yeah, it's a different animal. It's a different animal to be in a match where you've gone from the guy who knows you have it from start to finish to right now. I think if you saw Shakur going in that corner, there's that look of why isn't this going the way I want it to?
Right.
I mean, I think he still looks pretty fresh, but look, he took a side shot there and he took an inside shot there. Big miss by Herring on the replay, but not the kind of come around that you could have taken. Almost looked like he got a low blow there.
But all else fails, punch him in the dick.
Yep.
Yeah, the face of Shakur like, hey. Well, not on the first date.
That was the free one, I think. That's your freebie, but after that, you got to buy dinner.
Well, they are in Georgia. I think they'll get themselves a nice barbecue.
There you go. Herring didn't look hot coming out of that corner.
Yeah, he had a nice flurry there for a couple of rounds. You know, I said in those middle rounds there, he might not have won them on every judge's scorecard, but he's much better than the first half. And now,
definitely,
like, you know, his the wind might have gone out of his sails, or at least start to.
4, 5, 5, 6, kind of in there. He looked okay. Now he looks like he's grinding now.
Mm-hmm.
And Shakur looks like his coaches gave him that info. They said, like, listen, get out of the scrum, get back to where your strength is.
I would like to see him target that eye a little bit more. Not that I want him to really hurt Herring, but I think Shakur would benefit throwing some more targeted punches. You know, that last round, as much as I like a nice brawl, doesn't favor Shakur Stevenson. I think what he needs to do is be circling and really walloping Herring on the side of his face.
Definitely. Don't back off your game. Stay coming in like you were. Get your opportunities. Get in, get out.
Especially if you don't fear Herring's power, then, you know, focus more on your footwork. Don't. Oh, there it is.
That was a good one.
Receipt, motherfucker.
Hard to the right. Herring knows it. Herring knows he's got to get him on the ropes and then give him some hard shots. He didn't get him, but you can see him working towards it.
Shakur was baiting him there. He was kind of laying against the ropes, waiting for Herring to come forward. He was about to sidestep and try to work the side of the head or the body again. Didn't quite go that way, but that was what his intention was.
Coming in hard. Come
in
at him.
Punching right into Jamel Herring's guard.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna punch your arms and hands. You'll eventually get tired.
Yeah. There you go, a little clip. Herring doesn't look like he's got that head power that he normally has. Doesn't look like he's coming in. He got a couple of clips there, but they weren't hard shots.
Shakur popped him on the chin there right before they got broke up, and Jamel kind of went after him again, but not enough mustard on those punches, and Shakur was just out of reach for it to have done any significant damage.
Yeah, Herring's starting to look like he's running out of gas.
And Shakur Stevenson decides he's just going to start trying to ugly this up.
I don't think that's a smart maneuver. I think that when he's at distance and he's got space, that's when he's at his best. Mm-hmm. That's when Herring looks like he's out of it.
Right. And for Herring's part, he gets frustrated when Shakur is too fleet of foot.
Yep.
Because Herring wants to just stand and bang with this guy because he knows he's got the power, but Shakur is smart and he's not letting him until he. It's like he does okay for 2/3 of the round. In that last minute, he either gets tired or he starts to forget what the game plan is, and then he wants to, then he wants to sit there in the clinch with Herring, and he does not look great when that happens.
No, Herring can have an atomic bomb on the left, and it doesn't matter if he can't connect with it. That eye's pretty swollen. But look at Shakur. Shakur almost looks confused. He almost looks like, well, why didn't you just give up there?
Right. I don't want to call a champion fighter who's worked hard and and hasn't had all the breaks in the world entitled, but he does have that air about him at times. Like,
yeah,
it should be easier than it is.
It should be easier than it is. I mean, I think if you're Herring at this point, if you go the full 12, the odds have been against you from every side of the bookies to the, where they're saying that Stevens' young prodigy, which he is. He's a very skilled boxer. Mm-hmm. I think if you go to the decision on 12, even if you lose the belt, having been up, lost it, come back, you got 3 defenses under your belt. There's some respect there.
I'd be curious if this goes the distance if they don't go to an immediate rematch.
You'd think it would be.
I mean, if Anthony Joshua can get an immediate rematch, I don't know why Jamel Herring can't.
There you go.
He was beaten definitely more soundly than Herring has been so far. Shakur Stevenson laid in a few there. Very targeted punches. Looks like he did some damage.
He did catch one back on that same eye, so that was smart. That's what he got to be at. He got to be leaning into where he's already done that damage early rounds.
Yeah, I can't tell. I think Herring's eyes are actually might be starting to close. Of Shakur Stevenson, and it's at 130 pounds. Don't do it. Jesus Christ. Minute and 30 left, and he's sitting there in the clinch with Herring.
Come on, Jamel, get in there. Get in there tight.
Circle away, man. Look at Shakur Stevenson. He wants to stand in the middle of that ring and punch Jamel Herring, and it's like that. I hate to tell you, you're going to end up leaving yourself open, and you're going to be like Tyson Fury, wondering what the hell just hit me.
I mean, if you come out of this, Shakur Stevenson comes out of this having a Foreman moment where you got baited into grinding this guy all night when you really should. You really should stick to your game plan. If I'm his corner man, I'm giving him a little bit of grief about that.
Yeah. Shakur Stevenson might need to change it up a bit, maybe do some more body work. I think he so badly wants that, that knockout to the head. It's like
he's got some big body shots too. Like a big pro for Stevenson is that he knows those body shots work. So I'm a little surprised on these that he doesn't take that step back and get that hard shot.
Nice little shove there from Shakur into the ropes. Take him up and suplex him.
At this point, it wouldn't be necessarily terribly out of line.
Like the last fight we said, things are going badly when someone shoots a single.
That's it. As long as you're not waiting for Jamie Foxx to give you pointers on your next move, you're still in good shape.
As we take a break here, next weekend we've got MMA action. We've got Blachowicz versus Teixeira. I'm sure Robert Winfrey's hearing that. He's listening to me massacre both of those names. We've got on ESPN Plus Jose Zepeda versus Josu Vargas at Madison Square Garden. And then on Showtime, we've got Jamal James versus Radzab Butaev. So that's all next weekend, October 30th. No more Dillian White versus Otto Wallin because he got an injured or itchy, however you want to call it, shoulder. So, and in 2 weeks, there's the big one, Canelo versus Plant for all the marbles. Plus, the UFC's got a pay-per-view. It's UFC 268, Usman versus Covington 2. And then over on BT Sport in Birmingham, we've got Zach Parker versus Marcus Morrison. So those are some fights for all you fight fans. We might call. We're definitely doing Canelo versus Plant. We might do another one. Who knows? We'll see what availability people have and interest level there is. Back to the fight, round 10.
Cut that right eye during that break.
Oof. Look at those lefts. Yeah, Shakur Stevenson starting to pour it on now. Good. Oh, we got a doc. We
stopping
the action for a doctor check. Yep. Jamel Herring's like, nope, I'm fine. I'm fine.
He's like, put the Vaseline on and call it a day. I'm ready.
How many fingers am I holding up? Cat. All right.
As long as he doesn't think he's in the Sprite commercial.
I'm glad the ref stopped it. The ref's in there. He's got closer look at the action than we do. But when the camera was on him, I didn't think there was as much damage to warrant the doctor getting in there and looking at it. But again, I'll trust the referee's decision on that one.
Yeah, it looks like they gave him a cut in between rounds, but they didn't Vaseline it very well because he only took kind of a glancing shot and then immediately started to bleed. But you're right. Stevenson's coming in with the heat now. He can taste it.
Yep. Well, he's running out of runway here. He needs to end this sooner. This is going to go to a decision. And it'll win comfortably. It'll be either him or Canelo. Look at that. He's pouring it on the ropes there. What are you doing, Herring? What was that little chicken flap he did there?
I don't know. I think he's just trying to psych him out. Change up the game plan. And maybe if we do the chicken dance.
I thought he was trying to pat the referee in the head there for a moment.
A couple of hulas.
Kind of a half an uppercut there from Shakur Stevenson. Look kind of fun.
Stopping it?
No, not. Wait. We're done.
Interesting.
Jamel Herring is going to beat somebody up in an elevator tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure. He didn't look like that. Didn't look like he was in a stoppage mode.
Yeah, no, I'm really. Look, this is a conversation my boxing historian friend who I've done currently doing the Four Kings boxing podcast with in the history of heavyweight boxing. There have been enough deaths, and one is too many in boxing, that when a referee stops it, you kind of give him the benefit of the doubt because you'd rather be cautious and save a life than not. But I'm not entirely sure that stoppage at that time was still warranted. It's not like he wasn't. He was taking. I mean, I guess the referee's thought in this was, you're not doing anything to end this fight on your behalf, so let me just save you from taking a further beating.
Sure.
But I would not say he was done necessarily.
No, I mean, it didn't seem like he was shaky on his legs. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's taken some heavy shots, especially around those eyes. But I wouldn't have said that he looked like he was incoherent or that he was, a step behind. Right. It did look like he was outmatched in that last round.
Right, and that might, upon further reflection, that might have just been what the referee was thinking. He was like, there's no way you're going to suddenly get a flash knockout and this is going to be over. You're not going to win on the cards. Let's just stop this now because you have lost this on the cards as it is, and you're not getting a knockout.
Sure. There's no way you're going to dominate those other rounds.
Right. All right, so we have a winner by technical knockout, Shakur Stevenson, who is your new champion. What do you think of the fight overall?
I mean, I thought it was. I mean, unfortunately, I think it was what they call for the gamble. I think Stevenson came out. He was younger, he was sprier, and he can stay out of the way a lot. So, it was a good match. I think that they both knew what they had to do. I just think Stevenson played a little bit tighter.
You know what? Like I said, I've been following Stevenson for a while now. I'm a big fan of his. I like his antics. I think, get him out in front of some more cameras, get him on some podcasts. Let's get his name out there and really make this kid a big star. He needs a big fight though. He either needs to be co-main on a big time pay-per-view, either with, a Canelo or a Wilder or Tyson Fury, or Teofimo Lopez, somebody like that. Like, he needs to be paired up on a card with, somebody with a big name to get him in front of some big crowds. Or he needs like a big time fight. Like, this was good for him. This was money, but I think his management team might be able to find him a more interesting, more name-worthy opponent out there and really get his name out. Because, like I said, this was the fight of the weekend. This was the big one. But I was looking at social media before we started tonight, and you compare this to like a Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, or a Canelo fight, and there wasn't as much buzz. He needs more buzz. Is what I'm saying.
No, if this goes to a rematch, he's got to come out and he's got to just completely decimate it in order to get that branding to move on into to be more mainstream, that mainstream name.
All right. This week on the Rattlevision Broadcasting Network, we are on the march to Paranormal Activity Next of Kin, which is streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus. We've dropped our first part of the Paranormal Activity franchise review, parts 1 and 2. We're all part of part 1. That wasn't confusing at all what I just said. Part 2 drops today as this is recording. It's Paranormal Activity 3 and 4. Ronnie Adams and I are stepping back into the world of the medieval. We'll be reviewing The Last Duel. Myself and Chris Bailey will be reviewing Crown Jewel. And then myself and Sean Comer are heading back into the world of indie films of the early 2000s. This time we are going to tear the crap out of Donnie Darko. Whatever version of that we can find online. There's only 50 of them. And then
6.5.
And then the big review of the week is Dune Part 1, 2021. Currently day and date on HBO Max. It'll be myself, David Wright, Robert Winfrey, and Jeff Sloboda of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Metal Hammer of Doom, our last Halloween-inspired record of the month, is Halloween, self-titled, which came out earlier this year. We have a re-airing of our Gem and the Holograms and Paranormal Activity, the Ghost Dimension review. Rob reviewed The Ghost Dimension. I reviewed Gem and the Holograms after I took my daughter to go see it way back when, and we debate which one was more horrifying. And then Gavin Napier, formerly the Casual Heroes, will be back to discuss Ted Lasso Season 2. On Friday, Alexis Hannah and I have a midday review. We got a triple feature for your Halloween themes. We've got Scooby Meets Courage, Straight Out of Nowhere, Muppets Haunted Mansion, which I watched with my family tonight. If you're a big Haunted Mansion fan, big Disney fan, you'll love this. And Rah, we're an angry mob, My Little Pony, The Next Generation. And then speaking of My Little Pony, Jason Teasley and I will be reviewing You from Netflix, Season 1. We've got Trip Trivia this weekend, October 30th. It's going to focus on the horror genre, so that'll be fun. Jesse and Alexis Hannah will bring you that. And then on Halloween, speaking of Alexis Hannah, she and Jesse Starcher reviewed Power Rangers: A Nightmare on Elm Street, the wackiest crossover you thought you'd never see. And then we've got one from the archives, our review of Trick or Treat Reanimated, the covers album that we reviewed a few years ago. That's all coming to you on Halloween. You can go back in the archives this week and check out our reviews of Dune 1984, the Mummy Trilogy with Brendan Fraser, our review of Halloween Kills, the Mania of WrestleMania 8 and 9, Ice Nine Kills, The Silver Screen Part 2, Welcome to Horrorwood, The Four Kings of Boxing, Leonard and Duran Parts 1 and 2, and finally, Chris Bailey, some re-airings of our Cradle of Filth, Hammer of the Witches review, and Dream Theater self-titled. What do you got going on, Mr. Lasby? Where can they find you? How can they find you?
Jeez, I was going to say, with a bag full of content like that, you're the poster child for I'll Sleep When I'm Dead.
That's what they tell me. I am the hardest working man in podcasts.
There you go. Well, I am just dipping my toes back into the figuring out how to get myself out and about there. I do have online on YouTube with Best Kind Productions. There's a workshop version of my musical Red Rock, which is about communism in Newfoundland, which didn't exist, but maybe it did. Who's to say? And then hoping to get it out there sooner rather than later. I'm in the process of writing a wrestling musical called WrestleFest 5000. So I'll just have to have Chris Bailey review that with you and keep your bag as full as possible.
We're going to drag Dan Lasby into the triple feature world. He told me, he works in the musical sphere. And I said, musicals, Tick, Tick, Boom? Huh?
Tick, Tick, Boom.
That's coming out soon. There's a couple of other musicals I wanted to look at. So I'm going to do what I do to everybody else. As Jason Teasley likes to say, I'm going to twist arms and drag him into the world of podcasting. So
yeah, I only have rubber arms, so I'll do my best.
Dan, this was great. We hope to have you back soon. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, it was great. No, I really enjoyed it, and now I'm only hungry to figure out what I can see more as far as the boxing world, and see if Evander Holyfield's kid is as good as he maybe looked for 5 minutes tonight.
We'll talk. Until then, check us out on w2mnet.com and whatever podcatcher you've got for all the Rattledge and broadcasting. If you check us out on Twitch or on YouTube, like and subscribe, get that algorithm working for us. Until next time, we bring you some more boxing alternative commentary. He's Dan, I'm Mark. Be well, be safe, and behave.